Yeah, they're entered for Linz, and I think the Kiwis are going pretty quick.
They'll be the ones to watch. Here, we've got our eyes on Canada and Denmark especially. We're expecting great stuff from them. I mean, yesterday, the Canadians really lit it up. Denmark as well, keeping them honest, but we're expecting great things from them. The full wind-up, though, of those 6 crews we'll bring you up to speed with, so you know who to keep your eye on. We're looking at 2 of those central lanes to choose between the Netherlands, we think, and probably Canada. As you see them lined up, the far end of your screen, the top of the screen even, lane 1, that's Great Britain, Emily Ford at bow, and Emily Ashford sitting at stroke. Great Britain 2, to clarify. Next up, that's Denmark, Hedvig Rasmussen and Christina Johansson. We're expecting them to be one to keep an eye out for. Lane 3, Canada, that's Kaylee Filmer and Hilary Janssens. They are probably our pick of the pack for this race, although we've been surprised before. Spain, Ana Boda Piera and Anna Sid. They were 5th at the World Championships last year. Netherlands, Elspeth Beers and Leila Youssef. That's yeah, it's a good show from them. They were in the A final this time last year as well. And then Great Britain won. Anastasia Merlet-Chitty and Rebecca Gerling completing the wind-up. 2 British crews entered. One at the top of your screen and one at the bottom. But the midfield is where we expect the weight of the pace to come from in this race. You can see it's still relatively calm up at the start. Blade still feathered in the water, belaying the fury about to be unleashed when that klaxon sounds. The crews get a 2-minute warning. Yellow light will be flashing at the top there. There's an audible warning when they're within 2 minutes of the start. And they'll get called forward to stop. So we're, I think, Martin, we're just set back by 1 minute because one of the crews is not fully aligned up at the start.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because they do look aligned from here, but you've got a guy in a little hut who's kind of looking through one eye and aligning all those bow balls up, but it looks like we're ready to go.
Yeah, I think they've... There you go, back on the straight and narrow, and the start's given.
You see the Danes jump out at the start. That was amazing from Hedvig Rasmussen and Christina Johansson. They kind of got about 3-4 centimetres on the first stroke. And they know they have to do that, Sam, because this Canadian pair we're looking at there, the stroke woman, the 23-year-old Hilary Janssens, is so quick and so smooth and so phenomenal. They, for me, have been one of the crews of this regatta so far.
They have. It was a really impressive performance they put in yesterday. It's a nice, clean and tidy stroke we see from them now. They're still sat at 41 strokes a minute, so they've not settled as quickly as the rest. Although at the moment, sitting at the front of the field, it's Great Britain 1 that I make with their bows in front of the rest of the field. There you go, centre screen.
Yeah, well, the British, Great Britain 1, this pair here, we're looking at Anastasia Merlet-Chitty in the bow. We can just see her. She's closest to you on the left of the screen, and then her stroke woman Rebecca Gerling from Multi Boat Club. They're the #1 British pair, and at the moment they're in 3rd place, but a great start by Denmark to hang on to this Canadian crew, who are the fastest moving boat on the course. Speed around 4.9 metres per second, and you can see how smooth they are, Sam. Just look at the way that Kaylee Filmer, the 21-year-old bowwoman, just places a blade in just ever so sort of subtly, but just really grips it on a big muscles and just levers the boat.
It's a really refined stroke, but it's helping them put the power in. It looks really efficient. And that, at the moment, they're switching bow balls with Canada. Great Britain in the lead, Canada in the lead. Great Britain, there's less than a metre separates those 2 crews. In 3rd, Denmark, slipping slightly and under pressure from both Spain and the Netherlands. The crews are just coming through the first 500-metre timing point. The first crew there is Canada, 1:41.99. They're a full... I say a full. They've got 1.8 seconds at the moment ahead, but it's looking pretty close up there as the race develops.
It is, and just to give you some idea of that time, the New Zealanders, when they broke the world record in Poznan, conditions aren't as quick here. They went through the first 500 in 1:41.06, so 0.8 of a second off world record pace. That shows you how good the Canadians are. But I think this is a fantastic row also from the British crew, the British #1 crew, coached by Jane Hall, herself a lightweight international. Merlot, Chitty and Girling really haven't shown this form through the regatta, and we're expecting to see them later in the women's 8, but they are really giving this one a go, and we thought the Danes would be the ones close in contact. They will come through towards the end of the race, but that lane 2, the Danish crew that, of course, took that bronze medal in the World Championships last year. So this is a fantastic row from the British. Rebecca Girling from Cardiff University came down and joined Multi Boat Club in Surrey. She's on the right of your picture, and then on the left you've got the former president of the Oxford University Women's Boat Race, and she is Anastasia Merlot-Chitty.
Well, I'm actually a little bit worried about Denmark at this point, because we'd expected them to feature in the front of the field, and at the moment I'd have them probably in 4th and maybe under threat. Canada have run away with it. They're being kept honest by Great Britain 1, as we see at the bottom of the picture there, but then you see 3 crews running very, very close together as they come through, and that is the Netherlands, Denmark and Spain. Spain managing to keep more speed than perhaps we'd unfairly credited them to have at this point in the race. They're coming up through the 1,000. As they went through the 1,000, it was Canada again, no great surprise, followed 2.2 seconds later by Great Britain. 3rd is the Netherlands. At the moment, 4th is Denmark. They're nearly 3/4 of a second behind the Netherlands as they go through the halfway point.
I'll tell you what I'm surprised at, and that's the Spanish pair with bow number 4, and they're in the sort of middle of the pack there, and I'm surprised we don't see more of the Spanish. They were in the World Championship final, finished 5th last year. Interestingly, they were in the Olympics too. They got to the Olympic final, finished 6th, and Robin Williams, who coached the winner of that Olympic final, the British coach, he coached Standing and Glover, he's now acting as a consultant to the Spanish, trying to spread a bit of his magic, and he will have been working with this women's pair together with their coach. They were great in the semi-final, and you can see them challenging Denmark there. What a super shot that is behind the race. Just get a view of the speed of these crews, around about 4.5, 4.6 metres a second, Sam. There you've got speed in kilometres an hour.
Yeah, well, it's hard work to maintain that sort of speed, isn't it? Much easier to get the bus. Not quite as rewarding, I don't think, either. There, though, you see, it's impressive stuff from Canada. The lead they've got at this point is pretty massive. They sit about 30 metres ahead of the rest of the pack, which really is quite a lead. That's not the sort of length that we'd expected them to pull out 5 minutes into this race. As you can see, they still hold quite a high rate of strike. I'd say they're at 35 strokes a minute. They're still sat at.
Yeah, and the Canadians were just about 5 seconds off world record pace through the 1,000 metres. That's a world record set by the Kiwis, and as they go through the 1,500 metre mark, they are probably about, about 9 seconds off world record pace. But in these conditions, that's fantastic. Of course, their coach, Dave Thompson, Sam, as you know, the New Zealand coach that went to Canada and took on the women's 8 last year, got them a silver medal. And I guess in New Zealand, Kerry Gowler and Grace Prendergast are going to be watching this with great interest, because for me, these 2 Canadian women can take on the world's best, and that is the Kiwis. Yeah,
it looks like they'll be going toe-to-toe later in the year, but there you see Spain with their bows out in front. They've had a great showing so far. They're ahead of the Netherlands and then Great Britain. This, remember, is the medals final. We're looking for our top 3 to see what medals we'll have. Up on the far side of your screen there, you see Denmark in lane 2. They are off the pace at this point. We'd expected to see them much more in contention.
Yeah, the race on this side is really taking the Spanish and the British back to the Canadians, and you know, this is something we didn't expect. We're looking out to our right and we can see the pressure that the Spanish, we didn't see much of them early in the race, but Anya Sid and Anna Bodapiero really sprinting hard to get back on the Canadians. They look impassive, don't they, Sam?
They do. I think this is certainly the Canadians to lose. They've backed out of the stroke a little. They're stat at 36 as the rest of the field throws the rate to 40. Certainly Canada calm and collected at the front of the field.
And the Dutch coming right into it. They're ahead of the British, who went out quickly. The Dutch pair of the Dutch pair of Elizabeth Beres and Lalia Yousafo. Canada take the gold, and I think it's just going to be...
To me, it's Spain for second, ahead of the Netherlands third.
Yeah, got my words jumbled up there. Elizabeth Beers, the under-23 medalist. last year in the 4, come together with her partner Lala Yousafzai, and that's a great result really to get through the British.
Yeah, that's a strong top 3, I think. We saw sprints in the last 500 metres that just edged out Great Britain. The Netherlands really came back strongly there. They'd sat at 3rd, they were 5th at the first 500. Then they sat in the midfield, they were 3rd through the first middle 1,000 metres of that race. And they got through by over a second ahead of 3rd in the end.
Yeah.
Are just coming in now. I think the graphic.
There we are. We're seeing the Spanish pair, but
no, there we go.
yeah.
Canada won that though in a time of 6:58.
Yeah, that on your screen though, you can see the Canadian crew of Filmer and Janssens there relishing. That's the Dutch we've changed to there.
That's the Dutch, and she's absolutely chuffed, isn't she? Lala Yousafzai, the stroke woman, and Elizabeth Beers behind her in that under 23.4 that was so impressive last year. They come into this boat and coached, I think, by, well, they're part of the women's squad, which is looked after by Teertje Fish and then Kirsten van der Kolk, overseen, of course, by Josie Verdonschot. But they were slow off, the Dutch, and we didn't really talk about them, did we?
No, you see it replayed there, back up at the start. We're riding with the Canadians, as you see there. But the Dutch there, the Dutch were in lane 5, excuse me. So they're in the yellow boat on the right-hand side of the picture. And they were slightly slower off, as I say. They were 5th after the first 500 metres. And they really had to pick it up to go back there. But you see how close it was by the time they got to the line. Those 3 crews coming through were all in contention for medals, even in the last 200 metres.
Yeah. So this Canadian pair have really been put together this year. We haven't seen them together as a unit, but Kaylee Filmer, the bowwoman from that Olympic 8 that finished 5th, we didn't see her at the World Championships last year. She was in the under-23s.
You see the confirmed results on the screen. Filmer and Janssens for Canada in a time of 6:58.88.